This is the White Coat Investor Podcast, Milestones to Millionaire, celebrating stories of success along the journey to financial freedom. This is the White Coat Investor Podcast, Milestones to Millionaire, episode 59, Resident with 100,000 in assets. Today's sponsor is PKA Insurance Group. At PKA Insurance Group, Inc., Pradeep Aldo and his team are independent insurance brokers with a focus on disability and life insurance. Protecting your family and income in the event of a death or disability is extremely important. There is now an A-plus rated carrier offering up to $7.5 million of term life insurance without a medical exam. If you qualify medically, approval is possible within 15 minutes. Avoiding the exam could be ideal for busy professionals. Reach out to PKA Insurance today to discuss your disability and life insurance needs. Call 1-800-258-1018 or email at info@pkainsurance.com. All right, today we have the pleasure of having a resident here with us today. Welcome.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So how would you like us to refer to you today?
You can call me Mike. That's fine.
All right, Mike. What's your profession and how far are you out of school?
So I am a primary care general internist. I just finished up residency actually in July. So this is a little bit later, I think, than when I submitted it. But at the time, I was a resident, I think, when I submitted my initial application. So
Awesome. Congratulations and welcome to the Milestones to Millionaire podcast.
thank you so much.
So you wanted to come on to share your achievement of achieving $100,000 in assets. Tell us what that's divided up into.
So virtually all of that $100,000 is in Roth retirement accounts, actually.
Oh, excellent. So you were so smart and started that in residency.
Yeah, basically just did my best to kind of max out my Roth accounts every year. I was lucky in that my residency did kind of offer a match for everything.
Wow.
And I was actually able to open a Roth solo 401k with my moonlighting money too. So
with your moonlighting money, perfect. Wow. So you're really booking it with the investment side.
Yeah, some people might say that I went a little overboard, but I just, kind of started to read the White Coat Investor really early on in my career, and I knew that was something that I wanted to do. So,
wow. And so, did you graduate with any student debt?
I did. At the time, I basically had borrowed for my entire medical school career. So I think at the time I was maybe about 300,000 or so in debt when I graduated.
Okay. Awesome. And you were able to invest to still get $100,000 in assets.
Yeah. So basically, just trying to automate everything that came out of my paycheck and setting money aside. And, obviously the COVID kind of forbearance with the loans at being at 0% and not having to make any payments on it made it a lot easier to make that decision to invest too. So
awesome. Very good. And what's your net worth when you came out of school?
So when I came out of school, I basically had nothing in terms of assets. So it was probably negative $300,000 or so. Um, but now, I'm at about negative 84,000.
All right. Making your way up. I love it.
Yeah, someday I'll be at zero. So that'll be a fun day.
It's going to be a
indeed.
good day. That's awesome. Did your parents pay for your school?
They didn't help me at all for medical school, but I was fortunate enough to have them help cover my undergraduate education. So
awesome. And did you receive an inheritance of any kind?
none, no.
Awesome. So how do you think your upbringing affected the way you manage your money?
Yes, so my dad actually is a primary care physician as well, and I think that he kind of really raised us right in terms of the way that we approached money. We never were the kind of people who were spending kind of beyond our means, and honestly, I didn't even really know how much money my dad made, until way later on, in my life. We never really lived extravagantly, but at the same time, I never really felt like we were super deprived. We just enjoyed, I guess, some of the things that are common to a lot of white coat investor readers. Like we liked outdoor activities, we liked spending time hiking and just doing stuff to stay active, and that was really where we had most of our fun and did most of our things. And turns out that those are actually really cost effective activities too. So I think that I learned kind of early on the importance of saving money up for things. Whenever I wanted to buy something, whether it was a new cell phone or a laptop or something like that, I always had to save and save up for it. And that was, I think, really helpful for me growing up. I never felt like I had like anything really given to me in terms of the money that we had growing up. So
That's awesome. So you really learned how to live and enjoy life frugally when you were growing up, and you sort of just continued that throughout residency.
yeah, I mean that was really, I think, the key. I'll also say just one other thing about that too, and that's that I've always kind of been a guy, that's been a little bit obsessed with like tracking and budgeting. Um, so even when I was a kid, when it came down to if I knew that a video game that I wanted was X amount of dollars, I knew how many hours I would have to put in at my job in order to get that video game, or
Nice.
how that translated. And I actually would keep spreadsheets of everything pretty obsessively, even in high school when I got my first job, just to kind of keep track of where my money was going and whether or not I could afford something before I bought it. So
Oh my gosh, you are my people. I love spreadsheets. That's wonderful. Yeah, and they really do give you so much power to just track your goals and then keep you on track towards your goals as you move along, and try to avoid all the temptations along the way.
for sure.
Well, wonderful. So, do you have any kids yourself?
No, not yet.
All right. Tell me, so you were investing in residency into your Roth IRA, and your solo 401k. What were you actually investing in those accounts?
Everything is almost exclusively in just low expense ratio index funds, lots of equities, and kind of. I think our provider was with Fidelity at the time, so it was whatever the Fidelity index fund was that just tracked the S&P 500. So
Awesome. Sounds like a solid strategy, and you've probably seen some good growth since then.
yeah, absolutely. Except for the last couple months have not been as great, but
Yeah.
before that, it certainly was something that was doing pretty well. So.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that sounds like a solid strategy, and sounds like you have a really good start on investing and a really good head on your shoulders to make sure you get to zero net worth and then much farther beyond in a very short amount of time. So, congratulations. Thank you for being on, Mike. We really appreciate you coming and sharing your story. What advice would you have for those who are a decade or two behind you right now?
I mean, I think that starting early is really kind of one of the keys, and getting the education that you can while you're in med school is super important. Reading as much as you can while you kind of have that time. Just about how to invest. And making it automatic too. I think was really helpful for me. Just not seeing that money kind of before you get your paycheck, and just having it go straight into a retirement account. You'd be surprised at how fast that can kind of build wealth for you. And you don't really miss it either, because you never really saw it in the first place almost. I think that if I was just going into medical school, or I was considering medical school, I would definitely just try to educate myself as much as I could about how to automate my investments and my savings, to just learn the basics of budgeting, and try to stick to a budget.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate you being on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That was such a wonderful episode because Mike shared so many wonderful tips about how to succeed as a resident. It is so important to budget and track your goals, especially when you're in a lower paying field, and that skill set is going to serve him so well from here on out. The fact that he learned how to invest in residency on a very low salary means he can most definitely make that room as he continues on as an attending. The fact that he was tracking his goals and learning about finance in residency is just going to be awesome. There's nothing but success there. So, congratulations to Mike, and thanks to him for joining us here today. Today's episode was sponsored by PK Insurance Group. Pradeep Aldo and his team are independent insurance brokers with a focus on disability and life insurance. Protecting your family and income in the event of a death or disability is extremely important. There is now an A-plus rated carrier offering up to $7.5 million of term life insurance without a medical exam. If you qualify medically, approval is possible within 15 minutes. Avoiding the exam could be ideal for busy professionals. Reach out to PK Insurance today to discuss your disability or life insurance needs. Call 1-800-258-1018 or email at info@pkainsurance.com. I am so honored to be your host here at the White Coat Investor Milestones to Millionaire podcast. Thank you so much for all the wonderful feedback you guys have already given us. And please leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Google or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks again for having me here. We are so proud of you and for all the work that you do. Head up, shoulders back. You got this. We can help. Thanks for listening to the White Coat Investor podcast. The hosts of the White Coat Investor podcast are not licensed accountants, attorneys, or financial advisors. This podcast is free entertainment and information only. It should not be considered professional or personalized financial advice. You should consult the appropriate professional for specific advice relating to your situation.